Bruce was working with a producer that we were working with, a guy, Keith Olson, I believe. And at some point, Keith said, hey, you got to check out this band I'm working with. He played Bruce some of the Tribes material, and Bruce loved it. And he said, who's the main guy? And he said, this kid, Roy Z. So he gives Bruce Roy's contact information and, asked Roy, would you be interested in working with me on my next record? And Roy basically said, well, if you're going to use me, you got to use my band. So that's how that came about. It's not that Bruce heard me and went, wow, that guy's amazing. He basically was given no choice. No, it was truly like Roy's just like, well, I'm not going to just bail on my band. So if you want to use me, you got to use my band. So Bruce agreed to it. And next thing I knew, I was being flown to London to record a record, so.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting how these things work,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think needless to say, why we're here as well, your drumming really makes a difference on those records,
Oh,
It's
thank you.
It's not just like a background thing. It's like a really, really exceptional playing, and also already on the post Picasso, I was also a thing that it came in the something like middle of 90s, and it's a still evolution of music and stuff, and and the record sounds and your playing sounds on that album so great. It's I think a super professionally played from the drums perspective.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's interesting because that was I think only the second. I was very inexperienced at that point. I had done a Tribe record and a Tribe EP, I think, and that was about the extent of my studio experience. So that whole Balls to Picasso session, that whole experience was both thrilling and terrifying because I was so green. I didn't have a lot of studio experience at all. So I was thrilled to be there, and at the same time, I was just like, please, God, let me get through this. So I learned a lot just from that session alone, as far as just studio focus, having to have that laser focus. But I think if anything, I was never, like I said, I don't really come from a metal background, more of a classic rock background. So I think, well, obviously at that time, Bruce had just left Maiden. And so he was looking to try something different. So, hence the idea of him hiring a Latin rock band. He was trying to get away from sort of stereotypical metal. So I think that's why that record worked. And then, of course, fast forward a few years, and he made the complete opposite choice and decided to go full on metal. And I think the timing of that it worked. I think that was a wise choice. So it was Balls to Picasso. I actually like my drumming the best on the Chemical Wedding, but Balls to Picasso is probably closer to what I would consider my natural style. Where Accident of Birth and Balls to Picasso, I was literally having to learn how to be a heavy metal drummer. I was sort of initially kind of faking it, not really faking it, but that wasn't a style that necessarily came naturally for me. So I was thrown in the deep end. I was like, all right, let's see if I can play some heavy metal here.
Right.
And I think the only reason I was able to keep that gig is because Nico McBrain doesn't play double bass, right? He's always been a single kick guy.
Yeah.
So had Bruce wanted a double kick drum player, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So I think that's the only thing that saved my ass, because most metal drummers are double kick guys, right?